Hi, I'm Dawn.
And I'm Ashley.
We'd like to welcome you to the Work It, You Are Worth It podcast.
We're two friends sit around and talk about healing, growth, and healthy relationships.
Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Dawn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I've had a really relaxing, quiet weekend, so I'm good. How about you?
Good. Same. I went and saw Wicked Friday night.
Oh, nice. I tried to
Um,
get my daughter to go. She didn't want to go.
oh, it was, I had high expectations, right? Because it's been such a thing. It's been,
Yes.
right? It was super good. I really did enjoy it, but it was also a letdown because of all of the hype has gotten,
Yeah, the
right?
expectations were super, super high.
Yes. And it was very, very good. I really did enjoy it. At one point I teared up. I found myself at the end sitting back and not being like almost stop, like I couldn't breathe, stop. I was pushing into
Just
the chair.
waiting for the end. Oh, my
Yes, it was
goodness.
like it was just so like I don't know, it was just and so it
On
was
the edge of your seat.
yes, it was very good. It was just the hype that was out there that like kind of let it down. But if I wouldn't have heard anything, I would have been like, "Oh, that was good. That was really
Well,
good." And
I
it
think
was
I will
really
have
good.
to make my daughter go see it with me
Yes,
then.
it was fun because it was very much like it was, the first this part one because it is two parts. Um, so this part one is the actual play.
Okay.
It's the second part that's going to come out next year is going to be the new part that was not in the performance.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
So,
see, and I haven't heard as much of the hype about it as it sounds like you have. I don't pay a lot of attention to that.
yeah. So, but again, it was really, really good. I am not a big Ariana Grande fan usually. She did an amazing job in this.
Oh, good. Nice.
She was very cute and actually very funny. She was, we all found ourselves just laughing, kind of chuckling at her more than anything. It was really cute. It was a good movie. I did
Awesome.
enjoy it.
I'm glad to hear that.
And then last night did a murder mystery train down in Fort Myers.
Ooh, what is that?
So, was a train. You get on. They serve you a dinner. So we ended up, it was a one, two, three, four, five, like a six-course meal. Um, and they serve this, and while you're on the train riding, you're going basically going down and back. They're doing this little mystery.
That
They're
sounds
playing out this mystery.
amazing.
It was okay. It was a lot of fun. I went with my camping and kayaking group. Um, they're different than my friends, so I didn't have the the silly laugh, right? Just crazy that my friends and I do. So that was kind of a letdown, right? And then it was cheesy. It was cheesy, but again, for me, it was very much the people that were there
Okay.
would have changed the dynamic of it. There was no silliness, right? This
Gotcha.
was a
The very
this
serious, this was like
was
a cheesy, silly murder mystery thing, and they weren't like loud and silly.
exactly like
Gotcha.
these characters they were right. They were amateur, you know, actors and all of that, and their costumes were cheesy and right, and they were just over the top, and they wanted you to be kind of silly and over the
To
top and interact with
participate.
them.
Yeah.
Yes. And that didn't happen. And so that's what kind of was the letdown with it, where it could have been so much more. Um, so for me, the focus was more on the meal, and the
So
meal
I
was
have
the
a
letdown.
question for you.
Yes.
How come you didn't be that person?
Um, I tr- tried in a few moments that, and it didn't play out like I thought it would.
Just not very receptive.
Yes.
So it felt safer. It felt more to just kind of lay back a little and just
Yeah.
watch.
So I really just and right, it wasn't much to watch. I mean, they're in a you've got two rows of tables in a train car, and they're literally standing one at one end, one in the middle, and one at the other end talking. They're,
Oh, okay.
um,
See, I would have
so
thought they would have like had somebody in the seats dying or something. I don't know. Something.
exactly. Like there was just I will probably not do it again. That this one I would probably not do again. And there was a lot of people that loved it and they've done it 5, 6 times with this place.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, well,
So,
maybe it was just like you said, maybe it was just the people on that specific, and not just the people you were with, but everybody on that specific train
right.
ride wasn't as hyped up.
Yes. And so I spent a lot of time looking out the window, which was fun, right? We got mooned. Literally, there was some guy in the water and one of them mooned us.
That's
I thought it was,
hilarious.
yes, I mean, I was rolling and other people were very kind of being snooty about it.
Oh no,
And
I'm
I'm
not.
just like,
I'm definitely not. I am one that would be, look, he's mooning us. Oh my gosh. Like I probably would have taken
right?
it way too far.
Like one guy, the biggest comment on that was, oh, guess we did get to see a full moon. But it was a very serious like way he said it.
Gotcha.
And
See, I
it
would have
was
taken
that,
that way too far.
yeah, right. And that I would have as well in a normal circumstance. And I just, yeah, it was,
It just wasn't the crowd that you it wasn't the crowd needed in order to make that type of event in that situation as exciting as you would hope.
right. Do I enjoy kayaking and camping with them? Yes, I do. Right. It's
It's a much more laid back type of scenario.
right. Right. So, and I think I've said this before and it's right. Knowing this is this group and this is the this group, right? Not everybody's going to cross all my groups.
Right. And that doesn't mean that you're not as good of friends with this group as you are with this group or with this person or that person. It just means that this person fits into my life in this way and this group fits into my life in this way and
Yep.
it's different for each person.
Right. One of the other things I really like the one lady that like sets everything up. I do like her. We hit it off very well. She is one that last year go when I went for the weekend for scalloping with that small group for the
Oh,
whole
yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
So it's her. So I get
Okay.
along with her really well. But what I've noticed, she did it. It's different in the camping situation because right, we pile into one. Yes, we have our own sites, but we end up using one site as the home base, and that's where we sit, and that's
Right.
where we,
Everybody hangs out there.
yes. In this last night, I really saw the clickiness of the group.
Yeah. How two or three people tend to talk to the same two or three people, and the other people are just
Yes.
out there. And yeah,
And
there
what
can tend to be cliques in groups for sure.
Yes. And what was interesting is the train set the seats. So,
Okay.
so if you called and put four, you said you had people party of four, they would put those people together. But she didn't take on purchasing people's tickets. So everybody had to call and get their own ticket. So I could have gotten
Gotcha.
3 tickets and organized it with other people to do that, but that's not what happened. Everybody's well, so the trains gives you your seats. You didn't get to pick. And then what I found last night was like people are like, "Oh, who's sitting here? Oh, let's put this person over." Like they wanted to sit together. And so then now what you've done is that
Some
opportunity
people
to get
sat
to know,
together. Yeah,
yeah.
and other people are, yeah.
So it worked out fine. I sat with one of the guys I went that was at the scalloping trip. I sat with him and his mom. Um, he tends to be a lot. can be he's different around his mom, I noticed too. Usually he's kind of pretty silly and funny. It was okay. It was okay. It was $150 to go.
And it was
So,
okay.
and it was
I hear
okay.
you. I definitely hear you there. A little bit disappointing, but like it's okay
Yeah,
to realize that maybe this isn't the event I want to do with this group.
right.
Right?
They've
Like
done
I'm
this
not
for
going to
years. It's
go
the first time I've done it.
right. Well, and I'm not going to go on a haunted hayride with certain groups of people, right? I
Right.
or go visit a haunted mansion or go to a castle. Like the person I would go visit Salem witch trial area with is not the same person that I would go and visit a rage room with
Right.
necessarily.
E- exactly. Yep. I don't do scary things with Colin. I'll do scary things with Dylan. Even my down to my kids.
Yeah, it's very different. My children are very different too, right? Like
Hmm.
my youngest is super into the haunted stuff, the truly ghosty stuff.
Yeah.
So we're planning a trip to Salem, Massachusetts,
Oh,
right?
fun.
What better place to go if you're into that kind of thing? And my son, my middle child, he has no interest. He's like, yeah, that'd be cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Like I suppose I would go, but I want the enthusiastic, like, oh, did you see that? Oh my God, where is it? Like I want that, not like,
Right.
oh, I might have saw something over there. It's just my preference. That's not anything
Yeah.
about them.
No, exactly. And it also means that he doesn't have to go,
Right.
right? If
Whereas like with him, I go see a helicopter show or aviation show all day long, where my youngest might be like, eh,
eh,
okay.
yeah, I'll stay home. Thanks.
Right.
And that's okay because I think that gives us that one-on-one time too to interact with them and think and have those similar interests. And that's really,
It's the same with our friends.
yep, same with the friends. So anyways, so that was last night. So was I disappointed on Friday? No. Was I disappointed a little bit yesterday? No, yes and no. Um, what sucked is I had to drive 2 hours there and 2 hours back
Oh,
for
that makes it hard.
for okay.
Yeah. And then it costs enough money too. That makes it
Right.
difficult.
And then drinks were on top of that. And if I have to drive 2 hours home, I'm not going to drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what it was. But it's still, you know what? It was a bucket list item. I've always wanted to see a murder mystery train. Do that's some I still want to see one. I think it would to do one somewhere that it's a little bit more upscale.
Yes, yes. I would, right, rather than just having them standing in the aisle talking, if there was some actual acting in it,
Right.
um, like, or if they like tried to make you actually believe that there was a murderer there and we had to figure out who it was,
Right.
like that would be really awesome.
So like I picture it, you get on this train and there's one person that sits, coming in and sitting at the in there. You don't know, you think it's just another travel like just another participant in the dinner thing and blah 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 and then they come up dead and right?
Yes,
Like
that's exactly what I thought when you said it. Yes.
yes, no, this was um who killed Coach Comet? Was it alcoholic Mrs. Claus, who was very rough around the edges? Was it rain uh Phoenix, who isn't even a reindeer? Um and then Mr. Santa Claus dressed up as Frosty. It was so it was very cheesy. The show was really poorly done.
Gotcha.
Um yeah. So I think that played a factor into it too. Maybe I just like nicer things. Maybe I just have more expectations for that, but I expect it to be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely understand what you're saying. That uh, there's a lot of times that when we go to those types of things like the murder mystery, or I did a medieval dinner one time, and
Oh, hmm.
like you have certain expectations going in, and then it can be extremely disappointing if it doesn't meet those expectations because we are going into it with
Ex
expectations.
right. Right. Yep. It's funny you mentioned the medieval the medieval times. I've done that, and I always walk. I've always walked out of there just like, well, that was boring. That was not what I expected. The food was horrible. And anyways,
I
um,
did that with my daughter for her birthday last year. That was I try to do experience trips when I can,
yeah,
instead of gifts, and that was her experience trip, and we enjoyed it. We loved it. It was a lot of fun, and I kind of thought there would be a little more interaction with the crowd.
right.
Right. Like I thought they would be not that they didn't interact with the crowd, but that they didn't come close. They didn't come off the stage. Like, I don't know. It was really fun. We really enjoyed ourselves. But like you said, it gets so hyped up sometimes that you go into it with this expectation and then it's a little bit disappointing when that
Yep.
expectation doesn't get met.
Yeah. So, and it's my expectation, right? Again, there's people that love it. They loved it. They
Right.
had
Absolutely.
such a good time. I'm not trying to take that from them. It's just, and I wasn't the person that was like, "Oh, this is dumb. Oh, this is," and saying it there because that's taking somebody else's experience. I just kept it to myself, and that was it. So we're gonna do something today we haven't done in a minute, and I'm kind of excited about this.
I'm really excited about this.
It's been about a year ago, I think, maybe not quite that long. Time flies, so I could be way off base. But we've had no, actually, it was a year ago because it was the last one we read was a letter about one of my sponsees wrote about cleaning working in her
No,
backyard and bu- what was it?
I read my mom's amends letter.
Oh, that's right.
So it's been, I mean, but it has been
Anyways,
a while. It has been a while since
yeah.
someone has written in and written that we've had something to share.
Yes. So today that's what we're going to do. I'm going to let you, this is your sponsee. So I want you to kind of give a little bit of the backstory where this came from, and then you're going to read this to us.
Yeah, yeah. I'm super excited about this because one of my sponsees, for those of you that don't know about the 12-step recovery programs, a sponsor is someone who is like a mentor to people who want to work through the 12 steps. A sponsee is the person who is working through the steps. So one of these people who I am working through the 12 steps, um, my sponsee, she has written a letter. So one of the things that we do usually when we get to step 4, sometimes before, sometimes after, it just depends on the person, is that I begin to attempt to help them connect their adult self to their inner selves, their teenager, their child, their inner selves that are the ones that create these intense emotions. And the reason I do that is because if we aren't connected to why we have these intense emotions, then a lot of times we don't know how to control them or react to them or feel them without acting them out. So, one of the things I had her do is write a letter to her. Well, first we started with her young baby child, and then we moved on to a little bit older. And after a few letters, we got to her 14-year-old self. And some of the things that she thought and felt. So I'm just going to jump into this and go ahead and read it. Do you have any questions, Dawn, before I do? Did I say everything?
Yeah, I do have a question actually. So, was there something pivotal for her? Because, you and I've talked about when I think about my inner child, I think of my inner child at like 8. Or have you picked this year, her 14, being 14 as a reason? Did you
Yes.
pick it? Or this is something that happened and
So I didn't pick
it's,
it. I didn't pick
okay.
it. She picked it.
Okay.
Um, and it wasn't like she said, "Ooh, I'm going to do when I'm 14." No, it was, I'm going to write a letter to my inner child, my inner teen. The teen is the defensive one, the one who is
The
angry, that
adolescent.
right, the
Yeah.
adolescent, right? So I kind of explained that to her and I said, just write her a letter and tell me how old you think she is. So for her, she was 14. Her inner adolescent is 14 when she pictures herself as an inner adolescent, the one stomping her foot and being angry. It is the 14-year-old. Um,
Hmm.
and yes, there was a traumatizing event that occurred while at that age when she was 14.
Okay.
So yeah, I think inner childs, when we picture our inner child at any age, and I do believe there's the inner child, the young child that needs the protection, the baby, the fearful, the sometimes it's a baby, sometimes it's a toddler, sometimes it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, like you were saying. And then there's
Hmm.
also the second portion of that, and that's the inner adolescent. From my research and my understanding, there is the child, the adolescent, and then the adult. The
Right.
child is insecure and scared. The adolescent is in defense of self, typically angry. And then the adult is the balance of the
Right.
two.
Yep. So I agree too. Hmm.
Okay, so here is her letter. And I'm going to read from the very beginning because there's not anything that I think we need to skip out of or right. So this is just exactly what she sent to me. This has had many rewrites. It is barely recognizable from the first draft. I started with nothing but laundry lists and inventories, and then finding ways to forgive and excuse the people who hurt me and giving them excuses. And I realized that I was about to do the same thing I always do and not listen and hear myself. I am finally happy with what I finished with because I feel healed and peaceful. I am grateful that you are chosen to be the person who hears this. I thank my higher power that someone who appears wise and magical most days is as human as I am, and I am so blessed you said yes to sponsoring me. HP's matchup isn't lost on me. He gave me someone to light my path, and I don't feel as blind at the moment. I don't think that first paragraph hit me when I originally read it as it is hitting me now. Um, to hear someone say that about me is it just blows my mind. I have to take that in. Okay. Back to the letter. Sorry, guys. Here is my letter. I am
Wait,
with you.
wait,
Oh,
wait, what?
sorry.
Sorry, sorry, sorry. I
Okay.
couldn't find the mute button. Sorry. No, I don't want to just skip over this because it is powerful to hear. It is powerful to hear, right? I have thought that same thing, what she said about my sponsor, about the people that, right, were there in the beginning of my recovery. And this one gentleman is the one I think of when he pops into my head immediately when I read this.
Yes, he does.
Um, and I think right, it is good to hear this because, and I love what she said, the HP's matchup. I really believe if you let people let the sponsee relationship just manifest as it's supposed to,
Yeah.
you will have this moment.
It's
It's when you try to control it. It's when you force it. It's when, oh, this isn't fitting for me, but it's okay. I'm just going to keep moving. There has to be a level of peace with it.
yeah. It's a little for me. I love that you pointed it in that direction and that perspective because when I think about my original sponsors, the I can think of three off the top of my head that I feel exactly that way about. Um, and on the flip side of that, to hear that someone feels the way about me that I feel about
Mhm.
the guy that you're talking about, you, as well as the very, very first sponsor that I had. I, it, it's hard to believe in my heart that someone considers me to appear wise and magical and is thankful that I am human because I don't feel wise or magical most days.
Right.
And I don't feel necessarily like a light to other people's path. And at the same time, when I think about who I want to be as a person, wise, magical, and the light on somebody else's path is definitely it. So that just hit me differently right now.
It hit you when it was supposed to hit you. And it is, it's, I think because when I hear it, it's this moment, a lot of times it's like almost disbelief. Like as much,
Yes, it
right?
is.
I
No, that
am
is.
working on my recovery and low self-esteem is one of the patterns.
It
And there's
is.
right,
It
one of the
low self-worth.
characteristics, right? That characteristic of difficult to hear praise and recognition. What I don't have it up, so but it is to that. It
Yeah. And that's, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. Like I read it when she first sent me this. I have read this two or three times. And when she first sent this to me, I read that and I was like, "Oh, that's nice." And I just kept going. And the second time I didn't even read that paragraph. I just read the letter. So to read that paragraph now and to really, I don't know, to take it in and to, it's almost like I tell my daughter all the time, I wish you could see yourself through my eyes.
mhm.
And it's the chance to see myself through someone else's eyes, and that self-worth and that self-love, it just feels really, really good.
Yeah.
It just feels really good to be able to take that in and just be able to feel it, truly feel it.
Um, all right. Now we can get to the letter, but I didn't want to skip over that because I think it was really important and it
Thanks.
was
I think I needed it. I'm a little emotional.
you good to read?
Yes. Okay. So here is her letter. I am with you right now as you're lying here in the fuzzy haze of drugs that are being taken every 3 hours. I finally found you in all this darkness, and I don't mind meeting you here, actually. I have walked through the layers of what you believe about yourself and what you believe about the situation you find yourself in to be, and I would like to help you. You have a pretty dismal belief system at the moment. Here is what you think: no one loves me. I am not lovable. I am evil. I am worthless. I deserve this. I don't deserve this. I am lonely. I want everyone to pay. I hate everyone. I trust no one. I have no one. I'm tired. I have no more options. I want God to please help me. I hate God. I don't know what I want, who I want. I just want it all to stop. Here's what you feel: sadness, despair, grief, anger, frustration, fear, anger, rage, overwhelm, loneliness, guilt, depressed, powerless, shamed, ashamed, inferior, remorseful, empty, and rejected. I know your story, and you have every right to feel the way you do. You earned those feelings, and none of it was your choice. You may feel you're to blame for all of this, but I only see a 14-year-old girl who got a shitty hand and is now playing the game with the cards they were dealt. You are cunning and you always know what to say and how to play the game to get what you need. You're a true survivor and resilient. I'm proud of you. I know you're doing the best you can with what you got. This may be little comfort to you right now, but all this tragedy actually has such great meaning. You did not suffer for everyone's vanity without a bigger purpose. Your story does get better in time. What I want you to see is that what you're going through right now will mold you into who you're meant to become. And at the end of the day, it's a pretty awesome individual. This darkness you're sitting in right now needs some illuminating. Your biggest hurt is your mom. This mother wound you have weaves for generations and it will shape your life. And it all starts in childhood. At the moment, you believe no one loves you. It appears right now that your mom traded you in for a new baby, a house, the white picket fence, a husband, and a chance at a brand new life without you. You're angry and you feel casted away like you never really mattered to anyone. You feel everyone is better off without you, and that makes you sad and angry. You're confused and scared, and you feel like a caged animal. There is so much information that you don't know right now. All you know is how rejected you feel, and that is the worst feeling in the world. The reality of the situation is when you were brought into the mental hospital, you were in a very delusional state. You got into a rage about something and tried to smash your head with a glass perfume bottle and then take a bunch of pills. I believe we had no idea how to express our pain of aborting our baby and being rejected by our boyfriend, who we thought was our lifeline. In reality, he was a scared boy with an addiction to huffing glue who tried to kill himself when he found out you were pregnant. He's not doing very well himself. Honey, your feelings and experience are really important here, and I'm not invalidating what happened to you. And you have a lot of beliefs around your mom, and I think we need to explore this. Your mom is the kindest, funniest, beautiful woman you know. And there's a fury and there's a ferociousness to the way you cling to her and want her all to yourself. Seeing her raise your aunt's baby and feeling left out is so painful. You feel like you don't matter, and your mom would rather be with them than you. Everything revolves around her, and no one wants to address what the hell is going on with you. You watch your mom as she laughs and coos with the new baby, and it seems like she scowls and ignores you, and you have never felt more rejected. You're in the mental ward because you raged and scared the shit out of everyone. It's not your fault. The expectations that you would just be normal, get on life, and behave was a big ask after what you've been through. The fact that you snapped was inevitable. No one was seeing to your mental health. There's nothing to feel ashamed of. What is happening to you and how you behave is quite a testament to what you have been going through for a long time. You feel like you don't deserve love. You're blaming yourself. You're blaming yourself for your family hating you, and you're so angry. You want to be loved so badly. You lie. You become someone you're not. You try to be good. You keep secrets, and you feel when you mess up, it's all your fault. Everything turns to shit in everyone else's life because that is what they tell you. And this is what the adults tell themselves to give themselves absolution. There is a low energy that surrounds this family called alcoholism. It's one of the most generational familiar wounds and is pretty much the reason behind the circumstance you're in right now. You will be shown this time and time again. You are not the root that caused all evil. Your spirit, a true spirit, your spirit, a true spirit, and it is a beautiful light. Your soul is boundless. You're not capable of evil. This is not you. This is pain, hurt, and survival. Love yourself. You feel worthless, depleted, and empty. Why don't I matter? I still feel the pain of that question. You had the mental ward figured out in 3 days, and within 3 months, you were out and running to the next safe place. The only thing about you could figure yourself out of just about anything, telling them what they want to hear. Really good liar. And at this point, you would do just about anything to be free of the mental institution. I'm not judging this, sweetie. I really admire the survivalist in you at the moment. It breaks my heart that this is what it has come to, and I get why you don't want to talk about the abuse. Do you honestly think I didn't want the help? Of course, I fucking wanted the help. I was petrified of telling the truth. The family is furious and has turned its back on us, anyways. But I already lied and said it didn't happen. I deserved the help. I'm so sorry you are ashamed that you cannot speak the truth and you believe you had to lie and you don't feel secure to tell people what really happened to you. You were protecting them and not yourself. This, at the time, feels like the only thing you can do to try and fix the mess you think you made. This is so sad. You're just a child and you deserve better than this. You were not protected, bottom line. Those people never took accountability and they should be apologizing to you. You've apologized to them long enough. There's nothing to be sorry for. You are the one who deserves the apology. Yes, you are very alone right now. And no, no one is showing up. It does feel like your heart is stone and turned to dust. This is rejection. You're questioning your existence. You are not a mistake. You may feel discarded. You don't deserve this. You're not being punished. I know it feels that way, so you keep punishing yourself for using your voice. You spoke your truth and everyone ran away. They were the cowards. You were the brave one, even if it was only for a moment. Your family did turn their back on you. It is a nightmare to me that you blame yourself for what the adults did. You deserve saving, and at the moment, you have no idea how to save yourself in a healthy way. You have every right to feel angry because they were too busy trying to save themselves, their reputation, their name. You take the lies, you tell themselves, wait, you take, you take the lies and they tell themselves as your truth. And this becomes a hard habit to break. There is a lot of denying going on, and that is an injustice to you. It truly is. They couldn't see you. They didn't want to, because if they did, they would see what they have done. And that is a hard truth to face. I am sorry this is what is happening in this part of your life, and you feel so alone. Deep down, you know God is with you. They understand that you have turned your back and you're blocking them, even though you've been praying and begging for help. I believe we are building up our resentments right now, and that's okay. You deserve to feel resentful. There is no shame in that. You are worth so much, and those adults could not look past themselves to help you, a child. It's not right, and I will not make excuses this time for them, especially to you. I admit that they are sick and that they should have been locked up, the whole crazy lot of them, and you deserve to feel safe. I want you to know that through all of this, you are loved so very much, and you are protected. There is an army of guardian angels wrapping you in a divine light. You are going through a lot right now, but you are exactly where you need to be for now. You are safe, you are being guided, and I will always show up for you when you need me. I love you so very much, and I know who you really are, and that is something very special. You're never alone. I promise. Call for me, and I am everywhere. Love yourself.
Thank you for reading that, Ashley.
You're welcome. That was huge.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first thing I want to point out in this letter, and the very, very first thing that struck me as hugely important, is the paragraph where it goes from I and you to we and us,
Mm-hmm.
right? It goes from this adult talking to this child to this person talking to herself. And that shows the connection. That was
Right.
the very first thing that grabbed me in this letter. There's a lot of things that grabbed me in this letter. But that was the very first thing that really stuck out in my head was, and this is just the beginnings, right? We're just starting this work. She's made several drafts of this, but we're still at the beginning. We've only written, this is only her third inner child letter ever. So we're still at the beginning, but you can see where it goes from this separate adult speaking to a child to now all of a sudden it's me as an adult speaking to myself as a child. And then there's another separation. That connection, that bringing together of the three is what we are looking for. And it happening naturally, right? I'm not telling her to find that. I'm just telling her to write the letter. And
Right.
that's magically coming out midway through the letter.
I think it's very interesting. I love the letters. I think the letters are very, very important in the process of the journey. And a lot of times what happens is what you're speaking about here, right? It starts out one way. And that's why I think journaling is important for a lot of people, especially early in recovery. You start out one way, and by the time you get to the end, something connects, right? Because if you're, and it's about not controlling it. It's about just letting it be what it's
Just letting
supposed.
it flow.
Yes, just right. I'm going to I always tell people, put pen to paper. Just put pen to paper. That's it. What do you want? I didn't say that. I said put pen to paper. Literally put your pen down on that paper and just write. You don't have to have a topic. You don't have to, because what HP does is this. What happened in here? We take it from this and we end up here. And she, right, and she found, and she noted it at the end, right? I found this piece. I loved, how she signed it for me was something that stood out.
Yeah, that was huge.
She didn't sign it, her
So
name.
before we jump into that, sorry, I just
Okay.
want to mention because you were talking about the topics. I agree 100% with you.
Hmm.
Sometimes when people struggle really hard to just put pen to paper, I will give them a small topic.
Yep.
Like her topic here was find your teenager and write to her about something she's going through.
Yeah. It can be write a letter to your mom. It can be,
Right.
it
Write a
can,
letter about what's going on right now.
right, tell exactly. Like, and I agree with you. There might have to be little prompts, but it's such a wide possibility. It's literally
Broad
find your
spectrum.
teenage self and here you go, and then you end up with something like this. And I love
It's
that.
amazing.
Um,
And it'll
it
be different
is
for
really cool how it
everyone.
works.
Right?
Yeah.
It'll be every like so some people will end up writing to their 14-year-old self like this person did, and other people will end up writing a angry ass letter from their
Yep.
14-year-old self to whoever they're talking to.
And there's no right or wrong in this, right? We're not saying this is the best letter we've ever seen. We're not saying this is how it has to be. What we're saying here is this was a great representation of what she was asked to journal about.
It is, yeah, it's a great representation of speaking to your inner teenager
Hmm.
and showing validation to yourself,
Right.
accepting yourself, reassuring yourself, and loving yourself no matter what.
Yes. And this could have been an angry letter, and it could have been exactly what it was supposed to be.
Well, and I mean, she even said at the beginning, right? She said, this is not, this has many rewrites. It's
Yeah.
barely recognizable from from the first draft. And she started but with nothing but a laundry list and
Hmm.
inventories of everyone else. And then she moved into making excuses for everyone else. And then finally, she was able to move into this. And that was all her own doing. I didn't say write 4 drafts or 5 drafts
Right.
until she just kept writing and she was like, nah, that doesn't feel right. Let me keep going. Oh, that's not quite right either. Let me do it again.
That's a really, really great point. Right. Writing the letter, doing like she did, the first one, okay, it doesn't feel right. Second one doesn't feel. I think that's what's important, right? If you keep doing it until there's a moment it feels right.
Yeah, that's huge.
You have to feel it. It's
And
important.
that is a lot of times a question that I will ask my sponsees. How do you feel about your teenager net, right? Like
Hmm.
me and this person will have a conversation. The reason she was told to write to her teenager is because she was very ashamed of herself and her actions. And she was very mean to herself about the things that she did at this age.
Yeah.
So now we'll have a conversation about how she feels about herself at this age. And depending on whether or not she's at where, depending on where she is and how she feels, will depend on if we need to write a letter to this kid again.
Right.
Or if we're ready to move on to another age and another area and another style, you know?
Yeah. I had one of my sponsees, I recently had her write a letter um to her ex-husband, and there was a lot of anger and blame to him. And when we talked this week, she said, I started out and I was angry, and by the time I was done, I was like, I realized how much hurt and how much pain he had, and how the trauma that he experienced as a child, and he had just as much as I did. And she found by doing this, just pen to paper and writing this, she found grace for him. And when the great when you can let go of that anger and frustration, which again this person did as well, right? Started out one way and then all of a sudden just put her arms around herself. It opens her up. What this will do is open her up to be able to move into the next phase of what you guys are going to work on.
Right.
It
And I think
opens her.
right. And I think the key to it is it's accepting it. It's
Yes.
validating it. It's saying I have every right to feel exactly how I feel and why wouldn't I feel that way? And at the same time, this is what I think we should do with it. Or whatever you do with it, whatever you did with it, right? If you're talking about past, if you're talking about current, right? I don't, I think the key is acceptance of what I feel and validation to what I feel, as well as awareness of my behaviors.
Hmm.
And if I hit those things in my letters, in my journal entries, in my awareness of how I feel and validation of how I feel and awareness of my behaviors. Even if I'm writing a letter to my ex husband, even if I'm writing a letter to my mother or my child or myself or my inner child, all of those things are like, and I'm not saying these are letters that we need to write to them and put in the mail and mail out.
No, right. No, these
Th-
are not, that's not what these are.
no, these are for us to work through our problems.
There was one part in here that stuck out to me, and I do want to get to, I was noting the how she signed it. And I guess let me
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
go
Yeah.
back to
Let's go
that
back to that.
first. So she didn't sign it her name. She didn't sign it um self. She didn't sign it yourself, meaning Yourself, one word. She signed it two words, yourself.
Yeah.
And people be could be, well, that's the same thing as yourself. No, it's really not. What she put enunciation on was the your. By separating that word from self, she put her 14-year-old little girl in her.
Yeah, possession of herself, possession of her
Yes.
child, possession. But it wasn't that her adult took possession of the child.
No.
She gave the child possession of the adult.
They connected. They became one in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
That
there's so much connection in this for sure.
yes. But I just noticed it it really stuck out to me that she did it with two words versus one word and made it so intentional. And I don't even know she,
I caught it. I'm
yeah,
sure
person
if
that
I
wrote
had to
this,
guess, I'm sure that she meant to do that. I'm sure.
I yeah, so the person that wrote this I do know listens to the podcast. I would I would like to know that. Was that intentional and why I would like to know her why she chose to do that. I would be curious about that. Anyways, there was another part in here that stuck out to me as well, and she was talking, and I can't find it, but she was talking about how no one has ever apologized to her, and she's apologized to everyone else. And I really liked that as well because, and if I could find it, I'd read it, but what I got from that was this acceptance that people were not going to apologize to her and she doesn't need that.
Yeah. I'm looking for it too. I'm not finding it right this moment, but I do remember exactly where you're talking about. And I got the
Mhm.
exact same thing out of it. Like yes, you've been waiting for them to apologize, but that's just not going to happen. And frankly, we don't need it because I know that they were
Right.
wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So she kind of like let go of those expectations of others owning what they did to her. And like
Is that not in
they
a way forgiveness?
it is that's exactly what I heard.
Because I'm
Exactly what I
letting
heard.
go of it. I'm not holding on to it anymore. I don't expect any more apology or conversation or accountability.
Right.
It is what it is, and I'm done with it.
Oh, here we
Not
go.
angry.
Um, the family is furious and turned its back on me. I already lied and said it didn't happen. I deserve the help. I am so sorry. You are ashamed that you could not speak the truth. You believed you had to lie and feel insecure to tell people that you really happened. You were protecting them and not yourself. This at the time feels like there was only one thing to try to do and fix the mess around you. This is sad. Wait, was this it? Because she says those people never took accountability. Oh, yeah, right here. Those people never took accountability and they should be apologizing to you. You've been apologizing to them long enough. There's nothing to be sorry for. You are the one who deserves the apology. And I don't, right? If you read it just from the words, she could be saying, I deserve an apology. But I don't feel that's what she's saying. I
Right. I
feel
think if you
like,
keep going throughout the rest of it, I got the exact same as you.
yes, like, okay, you're the one that deserves an apology. She acknowledged that she deserves an apology. And right, a lot of times that's all you have to do.
Right. And further in the letter, she also acknowledges that the people are incapable and unable to provide this. And she realizes, right? They can't
Right.
provide her with what she needs. And she realizes this.
Hanging on to those expectations of this person should apologize to me. They should say I'm sorry, right? That will keep you in your crazies.
Right.
It
Well,
will
and
keep you in your anger and frustration, and it'll minimize your growth because there's a wall. It's a hurdle.
and for her and for where she was, just accepting that, acknowledging that she didn't owe them an apology, they owed her
Hmm.
one, was huge because she had taken on all of the guilt and shame as if she at 14 or 13 or 12 years old had caused all of this.
Right.
So then for her to then accept that they owed her an apology, that's a huge step for her. But then to also turn in the very same space and acknowledge that they are not the type of people who are going to give her what she needs.
Right.
That's it's those are two very huge things right at the same time, all in a very, very small space.
I'm reading on. Sorry, just one second.
I really, really like how she goes through and validates everything that her inner child feels.
Oh, I know. And you know what else I like too? Going back to the beginning, I really like how she started it. Um, because as she noted in here, right? There's been lists, there's been multiple versions of this, right? And I like that she incorporated those lists
Yeah.
into, because I think, right, one of the, sometimes what we'll do, like when because easily could have started, I know your story. It would have been just as powerful, as just the same level of growth without
Yeah.
that beginning part. And what I like about it is, right, she didn't just use the core feelings, right? We've talked many times about a feelings wheel and just, right, I feel like she took this, I don't know. There's something about how she
To the
made the
next
list.
level.
I love
Yeah.
this.
Like she lists out all of the defects that she feels, all of the character
Yes.
traits and character defects that we talk about that she feels. She validates why she feels them and validates that she is right in feeling all of the opposite feelings that she feels.
Right.
No one loves me. I'm
Because,
not lovable. I'm evil. I
hmm
don't want love, but I want love. And all of that is validated and accepted. And not only is it validated and accepted, but then it's also in a way negated. Not negated, but like, here, this is what you have now.
right.
Right? Like, no, you didn't have it. And yes, you should feel exactly how you feel. And yes, you're right. And here, let me sit with you in this haze because I'm here whenever you need me now.
And with these lists and then going into the details, right? She took them, and you noted it, the contradiction. But I think what she did was almost took each one of these without saying, "Oh, I am lovable," right? It was she really walked it through these
Yeah.
thoughts were there. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like all these thoughts are and opinions of herself are resolved, right? That's not we're not saying that,
It's
right?
definitely not in one
Shit,
letter. No.
I wish, but
But it gives an
but
awareness.
it right because I look at this letter as like you noted earlier, stepping stone to the next one.
So
This shows her she can be open and she can
these are her
it's
stepping
safe.
stones.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. These are her stepping stones into step 4.
Hmm.
So before, for a lot of people, and this is what I needed also, before I can take my own inventory currently as an adult and acknowledge my wrongdoings and my inaccuracies and my frankly failures at the time, um before I can take all of that in and not belittle and berate and hate myself even
Hmm.
more, I first have to be able to love myself.
Right.
I have to
And know
create a
myself.
relationship. Yes. I have to create a relationship with myself because if I don't have a relationship with myself and I come in pointing out all the things I'm doing wrong, how can I love myself through that?
And that's what I feel this was. This was a right, and I know you and I know, right, there's been steps. Like she's opening
Yes.
this door to step 4. And right, she turned the knob. She's pushed the door open a little bit and peeked in. And right, and she's I think feel like this letter, this conversation with herself is that s- a big swing of the door. Maybe it's not
Yes.
all the way open yet for her to walk
Right.
through, but I feel like this was pivotal in that door opening because you
So this is, so we have, after this letter, we have now moved on into doing step 4.
yeah.
So yes, and we have, it's been about 2 to 3 weeks now, and she's really into her recovery work.
Hmm.
She's making great progress and taking great strides. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks now that we've been writing these letters, and she's doing 2 to 3 letters a week, has been doing.
Okay.
And this was the letter. After I read it, I was like, okay, let's go to the book and start doing the step 4 questions.
Right.
So yeah, you are 100% right. This was right before she would put her hand on the knob and back out, and she might tap
Hmm.
on the door a little to see if it would open. Maybe she'd twist the knob to check if it was locked, but she was not ready to go all in. And
Right.
now after this, she has gotten to the point where the door is open. She's getting ready to take that step in to step 4.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that she's doesn't right. She's in the door of step 4 and she doesn't step back towards the door.
Oh
Right.
no,
That
step
doesn't,
4 is
right. We're not,
scary. Step 4 is hard and it's scary,
shit.
and there's a lot of ups and downs in step 4. It is not all forward motion all the time. 2 steps forward,
You
three
know,
steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back.
yep. Somebody said in the Thursday night meeting, and I'm not going to say who it was, obviously, but you should know. The person said in the meeting, step 4 is scary, it's hard. And I kind of basically was, I don't know if I'm not going to like it. And I thought in that moment, I was like, just wait, it's going to be your favorite step.
Yep,
Because step 4 is scary. It's hard. It's all things. It's every feeling on a feelings wheel multiplied by 100.
absolutely.
And without step 4,
We
I
would never
wouldn't.
have anything.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have any recovery. Do you know what has become my favorite step? And this is probably going to blow people's minds. Step 9,
Oh, yeah.
taking accountability and making amends, direct amends wherever possible.
Hmm.
Um, that has become not that I enjoy it, because admitting that we're wrong is never easy. But a very close to step 4, where we take our own inventory, the very next step is to take an accountability of our
Right.
inventory. Not that step 5 is taking accountability, but the next big thing we do is to take accountability. And it has just being able to take my own inventory and admit to myself what I have done wrong, and
Hmm.
then being able to take accountability for that has been, those two things have been giant, giant game changers in my life.
And I'm really drawn into with what you just said, why you picked step 9, because you know what my actual first thought about this letter was? This was an amends letter to her 14-year-old self.
Almost.
I felt an amends in this.
Oh, it was a definite. So yes and no. When I read this, I agree with that, in that an amends is an acknowledgement of what we've done wrong in the past and what we are going to do better in the future.
Hmm.
And sometimes it has nothing to do with the words "I'm sorry." And there is a lot of that in this.
Yeah.
And at the same time, for her, when we get to the place of amends, I feel like it is going to be a so much deeper level.
Yeah. Right. And I agree. This isn't a her amends letter, and there would definitely, I felt some things and I heard some things in there that
There are definitely
connected.
some amends
Yeah.
made in that. Like when
Which
you think
is,
about it, what amends are, it is a repair, right? It's a
mhm,
repair to something that we want to have. It is a corrective action. It is a amends. I'm making amends with something that was not right that I am trying to make right. And that is definitely what is happening in this letter for sure.
right, right. Now, is it, and think that happens there is a lot of crossover in the steps, meaning, right, I might be only on step 2 and I still can carry this message to other codependents.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge part of recovery, the 12 steps in general, 12-step programs, depending on how deep you take it into yourself, how
Hmm.
intensely you make it a part of your life. Um, as we go to meetings and as we speak to our sponsors and our mentors and the people that are doing well in the program, we see and hear how they make amends when they screw up immediately on the spot. And we're like, oh, wow, I appreciate them for that. I feel good about that. Holy moly, maybe somebody will appreciate me when I make amends.
Right.
Like that's, even though I may only be on step 3 and acknowledging my higher power, I might be looking at how people accept amends when amends are made.
Yeah. Eh,
And as I'm taking my own inventory, a lot of times I'm making an amends to myself because I'm having conversations with myself before I even know what I'm doing.
right. I think it's important to, in step 9, when you get officially in step 9, right, doing an amends to yourself. And I feel like we're doing that, like, and with this letter, she is, right, doing that. It's like this continuous thing,
It is.
right? Right. And it's almost like that amends letter to yourself in step 9 is real, just that it's more of an acceptance and finding gratitude in all of your everything you've been through.
Yeah, a
I
lot of
feel
it
like
is.
that from, yeah, that's when the understanding of gratitude for my situation, the things I've lived, the things I've been through, the ups, the downs, I feel in the when I write that final amends letter to me, I'm just really putting the gratitude bow on it, because without all that stuff that happened, I wouldn't be working a step 9 and writing an amends letter to myself. And I'm a big person on finding gratitude in everything. I think it's important. That is how you let go of the negative power of it. That's when you let go of the negative pattern. Power of it is when you can find gratitude.
And
That doesn't
it's more
mean I'm
than,
happy. Go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say it's more than just finding gratitude. It's accepting the gratitude.
Yes.
I say a lot of times, a lot of people hear me say the disconnect between the logical and the emotional. And that has been something I've struggled with over the last year, is especially the last 6 months, is finding I can find the gratitude. I can logically see the gratitude. And yet emotionally, I have not yet accepted. And I'm starting to now, but accepting the gratitude for those situations is where I think where that key is it's truly bringing that gratitude in.
You have to believe it. Right? And there's a point of and I don't like all the shit the guy that I was, I call him the guy that brought me to Coda, right? I don't like the shit he did. And at the same time, without that shit he did, I wouldn't have stayed in Coda. I wouldn't have come to Coda.
Right.
Right. He brought me here because that was my mindset. I'm going to go to Coda. I'm going to fix myself and then we're going to be fine.
And
I was
I
doing
think
it for that.
I think the key to believing it is finding it over and over again until you
Yes.
believe it.
Yes.
Right? Like it's not that I have found different things that I'm grateful for that have helped me start to accept the situation. It's that I have repeatedly found the same things that I am grateful for until those things are like truly in my heart and not just in
Hmm.
my head.
Because I realize now, I mean, this is something I've just, and it wasn't like all of a sudden one day I wake up and I'm like, oh wow, okay, I realize this. I'm talking about it now. I realize,
Looking back in hindsight.
yes, and where I'm at today, and this okay. I am putting it in the universe, and HP, you do with it what you need to do. I can say I could see him today, like I could see him in the real world and be okay. Meaning the guy that brought me here.
Right, right. That's like you're saying
And
that
I
you could
have,
see him and not feel any inner turmoil at all whatsoever.
yes,
That's huge.
and I have
That's
not said that
huge
before.
because I can think of like my ex-husband who I have not even seen in 20 years. And I don't know that I could say the same about him.
Yeah.
That's huge to say that. And I know who you're talking about. I know the situation. I
Yep.
know that's huge to say I could see him in public out in the world if we bumped into each other
Yeah.
randomly at the grocery store and feel
Because
zero inner turmoil.
there was a point I went down to somewhere by chance at lunch and that he could have easily. It would have been like it was someplace we went together. It was someplace right, him and his friends like to go. And I remember getting out of there as fast as I could when that hit me, and I had to call someone because I was
Yeah,
afraid.
because I might run
And
into
now,
him. I remember.
yes, yeah. And now, like, I didn't even realize it. Like, until we're talking about it now, I didn't even realize that was a thing. That, like, I could see him and I'd be okay. I would be perfectly fine, right? My life is amazing and wonderful. And at the same time, I got to work through all of that pain and I was not in a healthy place with our interactions. And I take as much blame in that relationship. It wasn't all him because of my old patterns and thoughts and beliefs, my old beliefs and patterns.
See, I can say everything you're saying and I can agree with everything you're saying. And I can still say if I were to run into either my ex-husband or see Nick face to face, when, not if, I cannot say that I would feel zero inner turn. Everything else you're saying,
Hmm.
I agree with, right? I
Yeah,
see the gratitude. I get that the relationship is over. I understand it's good and over. There's a good reason it's over. It needs to be over, both with both of
right?
them. And it's not recurring at all. I have no interest in that. There's no hard
Yep.
feelings. And at the same time, if I were to bump shoulders with one of them somewhere accidentally and look up and boom, there he was. I would not, I would have I mean, I would be okay.
Yeah.
I would work through it. I would be fine. Nothing in my life would change. Everything would be okay. And at the same time, my heart would speed up, my throat would tighten up, my chest would get heavy. I would feel inner turmoil for sure.
Yeah. I and I think that the difference is, right, this is not something that has come quickly. I mean, right? Which is hard to
Right,
believe.
right.
I'm going to be in the program in July or June. I'll be in the program 7 years. So
That's so
it's been that
crazy.
long. I know it is God, it's so hard to believe. Right, it's been that long with him since him and I've been together, and it's taken me that long to be able to say this. And the thing is, right now, I believe it. That I think is the thing. All those things I said before, I could logically, and this goes back to what you and have noted recently, is the
Right,
logic and the reality of it.
right. The logical versus the emotional connection. Yeah.
Right. This time where I'm at now is there's that emotional connection with it. I feel truly grateful for what he brought in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I can
It's
definitely,
sorry.
oops, sorry. I
I
think I
hit the
lost you for a second.
I
Oh,
hit my mic. Sorry about that,
okay. Go
everybody.
ahead.
No, no, go ahead. I was done.
Okay. I was going to say, I can definitely, I am definitely grateful for the relationships and what
Mhm.
they brought to my life. I'm definitely grateful for the situations, and I wouldn't be where I am today without them. I definitely truly feel that connect. And I am ready and want to get to the point where I could see them and feel nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm not there yet.
And that's
Um,
okay, right? And that's okay.
and
I got, I mean, I just sat here and said, like, I didn't even realize that till today.
right. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I could run into my ex-husband who I haven't seen in 20 years and not feel anything like except maybe some surprise. I don't know.
Right.
Because I've honestly never considered running into him. So I don't
Right?
know if I
Yeah.
would,
You're like,
but
I
when I
don't
think
think about
about
it.
it,
Yeah, right. The thing is, I'm not thinking about it, but if I think about it, that's when, yeah. So what were you going to say? Because you were just saying about, like, if I think
like
about it,
I'd like to get there. I would like to get there. If I think about it, I don't believe I am there with either of them. And I think the reason for that is because we're still dealing with children with I'm still dealing with my children with them, right? My ex-husband, I guess his new wife reached out to my daughter on Friday for the very first time in years and years and years. Um, and so I may end up running into them. I have no idea, but I just haven't even considered it up until this point. Whereas I know I am going to see Nick again. I just saw him a couple of months ago, I think, or a couple of
hmm
weeks ago, whatever, at the horse show. I have no doubt I will see him again in the next 2 weeks when my granddaughter has her first birthday if he shows up. Um, and I also know that it's not going to be like running into a stranger.
right.
I want it to be. I'm ready for it to be. I'm working through whatever it is that I need to work through in order to get it to be to that point. Um, there's not a lot of anxiety or tension or anger, right? There's not a lot of big feelings that I would behave outwardly about. And at the same time, there is internal feelings still.
Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, right?
I think having that awareness is
Yeah.
that is a huge important thing. It's not something I'm beating myself up for. Don't get me wrong, there's times where I'll have a thought and I'll be like, "Damn it, why am I thinking that? I wish I was done thinking this already. Jesus, why does this keep
Like,
coming
can
in
I
my
get over
head?"
this?
Right. And at the same time, that's happening less and less and less and less
hmm
every single day.
And that really, that's all we have. That's all we can ask for. Just let it be a little bit easier tomorrow. Let it be a little bit easier the next day.
Right. And the situations are changing, right? If we'd have had this conversation 3 months ago where Nick is concerned, it would have been very personal issues. Hell, it was
Right.
very personal issues. And at this point, those personal issues are gone. And now it's issues about the children, right?
Right.
And even where my ex-husband is concerned, that's a 20-year issue about the kids. So the personal stuff about my feelings and my hurts and my angers, I have worked through those. It's crazy that it's hard. It's harder to work through our kids'
Mm.
hurt than it is our own.
But I think part of what I know for me with my kids is one, I have mom guilt with them, and which means I've taken on the feelings I think they should have towards their fathers. Um, Two, right, I also have to remember they are adults. Both of my kid boys are adults, right? Even though Colin lives at home and is 19, he's an adult and his relationships are his. And, and they're not about me. And I think the disconnect with that for me was these boys were I was their protector. I was the person that was taking care of them, and it's hard to disconnect that I want to protect them. I want to navigate their relationships to keep them safe. And that's not my job. They're adults. They get to do that. And it's hard to let them go from being looking at them as children to
Yeah,
allowing them to be adults.
yeah, it's hard to see them get hurt, and it's hard to see them
Yes.
get hurt by people who they expect to love them.
Yep. And I
And
think, right, I could go and hug like little Dylan, little Colin, right? Somebody hurts them. I could wrap them up and I could kiss their boo-boo
right,
and
and
tell
I
them how
could
much
take
I,
that pain away. I clapped
yes,
loud enough that they didn't notice who wasn't.
exactly. That is
And
exactly it.
and they are now all of them getting to the age where they see who's not clapping for them,
Yes. And
and they have feelings about it.
yes. And I want to kiss those boo-boos away from them.
And I can't.
Right.
And there's a lot of frustration and anger. There's a lot of resentment towards the people who cause those pains
Mm-hmm.
when I can't fix those pains. Even
Yes.
even if I could fix those pains, there's still a lot of resentment that comes out for the people that create those pains.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost an instinctual, like I have to fight, like I have to remind myself on quite a regular basis. It doesn't matter that my child is hurting or getting hurt. That is not, I mean, it matters. It hurts me. It matters, but it is not mine to fix. I have to let
Right.
them get hurt.
And
And I am also talking about my 13-year-old daughter, right? I'm not
yeah.
just talking about my adult children. I'm talking about my 13-year-old specifically, right? Her relationship with her father is her relationship with her father. And if she doesn't want to answer the phone, it's not my job to make her answer the phone.
Right.
If she doesn't want to call, I don't need to make her call. And at the same time, if she wants to call and talk for 30 seconds, that's her choice too. It's not for me to try to make it better or fix or repair. It
Right.
is her relationship with her father, it is her business. My job is to support her on my end with whatever she needs and have absolutely nothing to do with that as long as she is safe.
And I think one of the place you are with Cam and the opportunity I've had to be better with Colin, right? I think what I did with Dylan was right, all those times that he gets hurt, I fix the boob, I kiss the boo boo and make it better. I kiss the boo boo and make it better. Every single time he was hurt, that as an adult now, as a codependent, he struggles navigating if someone,
Hurts him.
yes, he doesn't know how to
Right.
self-soothe.
Right. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. When I say as long as she is safe, I don't mean emotionally safe because a lot of
Right.
times she's not emotionally safe. I have to let her be emotionally unsafe so that she can learn how to be physically safe. She can learn that she is
Hmm.
physically safe even when emotionally she is unsafe.
And actually, let me ask you a question. When you let your daughter be emotionally unsafe, are you are you telling her you don't love her?
No, God, no. I
Are
actually
you
do the
telling her
exact
you're
opposite.
right? Are you telling her you're not there for her?
No, not at all. I do the exact opposite.
Right? That's not when we allow individuals to have their feelings that they're going to have in a situation, that does not mean we don't care about them and we don't love them. What we're doing is allowing them to navigate pain and hurt, which is a natural part of life that we weren't given. No one taught me that I could take care of myself. I mean, right, I learned I could take care of myself in a very hard, controlling way, but no one taught me that it was okay to be vulnerable and admit that I was hurt and and navigate how to express that I was hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I do with her. So I allow the situations to unfold however they are going to. And then when the situation is done unfolding and she has worked through it to a certain point, I will go to her and say, "How are you? How do
Hmm.
you feel? What do you need? How can I help?" And if she is at a place where she's ready to accept it, I may or may not offer wisdom or advice depending on how I feel about the situation.
Right.
So I have to be very careful with my daughter because I am everything for her. Right now, she has nobody else here in the state that is not doing their own, right? Her brother and
Hmm.
sister are here, but they're 22 with a 1 year old and 19 newly married in the army. So right now, I'm everything she has. So if my opinion about a situation or a certain thing or a person is negative and harsh, she wants to please me. So she tends to lean towards that same opinion. So
Yeah.
I have to be very, very careful that the situation she is going through, I don't have a harsh negative opinion on. And I am very observant to make sure that I'm allowing her to express what she feels, not what I feel or what
Right.
she thinks I want her to feel. That's a big one that I have to watch with her. Um, and one of the things that I have her is she's in therapy, right? She goes once a week, every single week at this point, because she needs someone that is outside of our family where she is 100% safe to say whatever, everything, and analyze her own emotions and figure out what she wants
Mm.
for herself without my influence or anybody else's influence.
Right.
And without Coda, I don't know if I would be, I do. Without Coda, I would not have been able to give that to her. I did not give that to my oldest two. Their
Yeah.
opinion of people was very, very, very strongly influenced by my feelings about them.
That is, I just, I find that it is so true. Right. And I think that was part of this whole thing where when goes back to when we've talked about like especially Dylan being born, he was mine. In a way, it was we were one.
Oh,
That's the way
yeah.
I looked at it.
Oh, yeah.
There was no line between me and Dylan. We were
Nope.
one.
My oldest too, Destiny, she was mine.
Yeah.
That was my person to love me unconditionally, to give me everything I
Yep.
never had and everything I ever wanted as far as love and family. And we were, I yeah, it was,
So there was no space for her to become, or, and I'm going to use Dylan, for him to become his own person because he had to be my person.
yeah, it's crazy. Yes, absolutely. With my daughter, my oldest daughter, it was the same way.
And now what I'm right, and it's the same, not just for him not being his own, but because I made him my everything because he was going to be the one that loved me and he's going to be the one that
I
gives me what
had
I need, blah, blah, blah,
nothing.
right?
It,
I didn't,
it's
there was
crazy
no
you say
space for
that.
me.
Me and my youngest just had a conversation in the car that yesterday. We were going to have breakfast and we had a conversation. And one of the things I said to her was, listen, baby, if you ever decide to have children, you cannot make them your world.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make their children their everything and they want to make their children their world. But those children's job is to grow up and leave someday.
Yep.
And if you have made your children your world, what the hell are you going to do when they grow up and leave?
Yeah.
And
No
I'm
one
going
told
through
me
that right
that.
now. Nobody told me that either. I'm going through it right now with my oldest too. And it's a huge eye opener. And right, if your children are your world, and then you're 60 years old and you're hoping they visit twice a month at 60 years old, what happens to the other 28 days that your world isn't there?
This is one of those things. This is a very much my mom. So we decided we're not going to Texas this year. Because Dylan was just here and I need to not go to Texas. But so Colin decided he's like, I don't no, I don't think I want to go. I'm gonna stay home too. So I called my mom. One of the things she always is, just, oh, I hate the holidays. Oh, I hate the holidays. Oh, they're so hard. Oh, we're gonna, I told your dad, we have to go for a night so we can go somewhere. And then it comes down, they can't afford it. It comes, right, it just doesn't happen. And so this year I was like, okay, we're in town. There's no reason I can't go to her house. We can't go to her house for Christmas. And so I called her and I said, hey, since we're in town, let's do Christmas. And I'm gonna ask Mark, Colin's dad, if he wants to join us. Because again, he's another one. Oh, Colin's gone for Christmas. I never get to see him on Christmas. I da 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 da. And it comes down to here's two people that, especially my mom, who her whole life has been her children. So she is miserable in her life, and she can say oh, I have crafting and I have, but she doesn't have people. She doesn't have friends. They can't pick up and go spend time with my sister. They're in a way because of financial choices, health choices, right? They are stuck in a way here. And they're miserable. She's miserable. My dad isn't. She's miserable because she did not find her own space in this world.
Yeah, that's hard. That is really, really hard. And we're here we are in the 21st century and we're just now learning this stuff and figuring this stuff
Yeah.
out. Our parents, our grandparents, they had absolutely no clue. They had no
Nope.
knowledge at all. So, I mean, hell, when we talk about your mom, at the time when she was raising you kids, that was the absolute best thing a parent could do is make her children her
Right.
world. That was a mother's job, right?
Yep.
Stay home, raise the kids, be a wife, take care of the house, raise wonderful, polite little girls. Like that's what moms were expected to do
Hmm.
in previous generations. And a lot of that is still expected even today, right? Yeah, we're expected to work full time and raise our kids and go to school and go to work and be these amazing human beings that just never have feelings and never make mistakes. And um, I don't know. I think we give credit too. It's hard. Being a mom is one of the most difficult things I have
Oh my
ever done
gosh.
in my life.
Just trying to juggle everything that means uh
Yeah.
is, I mean, you're already set up to fail. So being able to successfully navigate through that without somebody d- I don't know what to say. Like, right? Good job.
Right.
Good
It's
job.
hard
Just good
for
job
sure.
for
All of us,
just good
everyone.
job.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Um And so I think, right, finding space for ourselves and allowing our kids to find their space, right, is something I wish I would have known a long time ago. And I love the fact that, right, you get that with your youngest daughter. I love the fact that I found Coda early enough to be able to, because, right, I came to Coda at the same age that Colin is with Cam. and he's a
Yeah.
whole different person because I feel like it was early enough in his life that I was able to do something different.
I already see changes in Cam. I already see this little girl used to be so full of anxiety and so worried about other people's thoughts,
Mm,
feelings, and opinions. And I taught her that.
yeah,
And I already see her beginning to use her voice and she's beginning to say what she thinks. And at the same time, I do see some unhealthy patterns too, right? Shutting down and avoidance.
right.
And I'm able to see the awareness of it and I'm able to kind of guide her through it without the unhealthy codependent side of me. And
Right.
I'm super excited to see where she goes in her emotional development as she continues to grow because she has at least one healthy non-codependent parent giving her not non-codependent in recovery aware
Hmm.
giving her that foundation.
Yeah. I told you that Colin decided not to go to Texas, which for Dylan, that was oof.
Yeah, I can imagine his first Christmas alone.
Right? This is
He chose to live in Texas.
yeah. He's right, he's choosing his path and he exactly. But he was thought Colin was just, Colin, when you come in, Colin, you come in and you can stay the whole month. And Colin just was like, no. And then I was like, Colin can do what Colin wants to do. Colin, you decide what you want to do. You
Right.
just got to
You make the
decide
choice,
in
man.
time. Yeah, right. For me and for Dylan, you get to make the choice. I'm telling you, I will fly you there. Right? I'm just asking you're mindful that you don't say, I want to fly out Christmas Eve because that's not happening. I'm not paying the flight. Um, but you want to go for a month, you want to go for a week, right? You figure it out and you do you. And then he just came back and was like, "No, I don't think I want to go." And he actually said yesterday, he's like, "Mom, I kind of like the way this happened this year. I
That's
like that
nice.
I went for a week for spring break, and I liked that we went to Texas for a couple of weeks. And then I liked that Dylan came here. So he got right all of the worlds by himself in Texas, his family in Texas, and then Dylan coming here with his family.
Yeah.
And I I found it much better. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is how we navigate it. Maybe it looks like this. And if Dylan doesn't want to come, that's okay too. He gets to choose.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right, it doesn't have to be what I think it needs to be.
That has been one of the greatest things that recovery has given me is the ability to do like a family vacation, right? Like I went to New York for Thanksgiving. I
Hmm.
didn't see my mom. I offered the invite. I had some hours, 2 days that I was available to her. And she chose not to come. And I didn't get angry about it and I didn't fight with her about it. And it didn't ruin any hours of my vacation. For the very first time ever, my mother's decisions and choices did not have any bearing at all whatsoever on my vacation. And it was absolutely amazing
Yeah.
to just be able to do what feels right for me and not let somebody else's
Yeah.
choices influence that.
Taking this back full circle, right? The conversation this is transitioned into how we are navigating with our kids and navigating allowing them to have their lives and make their choices and all of this, right? I think that has come through no, like a letter like this, a step four, knowing me when I figured out me and I could forgive myself for the thoughts that I had with Dylan was mine and we are one person and he's got to feel the same way I do. He's got it right. When I was able to disconnect from it and connect with me, then I could let him go because I realized in that process, in a letter like this, right, that my mom did the same thing to me and I was just doing what I knew. And there is another way to do something and it's okay. And I had to love myself through that. and I had to find myself.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Ashley, thank you for sharing this letter
It
to
created
the
such an
individual.
amazing podcast.
It really did. To the person that wrote this, amazing. And I am excited to see your journey and hear about your journey. And I really want to encourage people. We would love more of these. We would love for you to share these, even if it's not about being good enough. It's not about, right? It's
Seeing different steps and different levels of progress is
yes,
so, so important.
those people. And I think she said this in the beginning, just kind of feeling that kind of a part of something, feeling that she wasn't, where was it? It's kind of just like that, right? That it's not, I'm not that special. I'm not that unique, we say. I like to say, I'm not, you're not that in this recovery work, you're not that unique because we feel it. We all have very similar stories or similar patterns. And it's nice to see the different phases and stages of the steps and how people are working through them. So
For sure. For sure. Please share as often as you want and as much
love
as you
those.
can.
Yep. So, all right, Ashley. Well, have an amazing week and talk to you soon.
You too, Dawn. Thanks for an amazing recording again.
Thanks. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
We would like to thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery. Visit the Work It website at workityouareworthit.com to submit your questions and topics for future episodes. And remember, work it because you are worth it.